Hey guys, it's Ted with OAXRAY, and today we're going to talk about the retail apocalypse that's going on with all the retail stores closing in the United States. So we're going to go over some of the ones that have announced closing in just this March of this year. So if you haven't been living under a rock for the last few weeks, we all know that Toys R Us had some financial troubles starting last September, and they are still having those financial troubles today. And finally, they essentially gave up. Essentially, what was going on was they took out some loans in 2005, I believe it was, and they've been paying interest only. And finally, they're realizing they're never going to be able to pay back the debt no matter what happens. They've been trying and hoping that toy season after toy season, Q4, that they were going to get enough sales to be able to pay back the debt, but it has not happened. So they have given up and they are liquidating their assets. A few days ago, all the stores just went into liquidation mode. So hopefully you've spent all of your Toys R Us gift cards. Hopefully you've spent all of your Rewards R Us cards, because if they're not already invalid, they will be shortly. But what we haven't heard in the news a lot were all the other stores that are either closing, a bunch of stores going for bankruptcy, and it's really it's been going on for a few years as the internet has, and Amazon and stores like Amazon have kind of been taking over some of the sales. But let's just go over some of the lists here. First, we have Toys R Us. Everyone knows about that. And next, we're moving on to Claire's. Claire's is like a specialty shop. They sell jewelry and things like that. So if you're in the jewelry category, and there's a lot of things they sell that aren't jewelry, but if you live near a mall, that's generally where they're located. In my experience, we have a few malls near us. So if you live near a mall and you can find a Claire's there, it would be worth it taking a look and seeing what you can find for pennies on the dollar, possibly, depending on what happens during the bankruptcy, if they end up being forced to liquidate, if someone buys them out, or depending on what happens with the bankruptcy in the long term. But keep an eye on Claire's, because there can be items that you find there. You might be able to buy things in there for pennies on the dollar and make a profit. Now, Best Buy is kind of a store that I like. I like to be able to go into a store, try out my electronics first. So this is a little bit of a surprise to me, but I do understand that Amazon and online stores are often cheaper. So I think people are going with the price versus the service on this one. And Best Buy is going to end up closing 257 stores. So if you're an electronics junkie, it might be the time to visit your local Best Buy. Whenever I see store closing like this, it always makes me a little nervous to hold a high value in gift cards in those stores, because you never know what's going to happen. It's kind of like Toys R Us. Initially, they said, okay, we're going to close 160 stores. And then all of a sudden they said we're going to liquidate. And then within a few weeks of liquidation, they stopped accepting the gift cards and the Rewards R Us. So whenever you hear somebody closing some stores, I would probably not keep a super high value in their gift cards, just to make sure you don't get stuck with gift cards that end up being worthless. Now, the next category and the next store we're moving on to is going to be Kay, Jared, and Zales. I believe they're all owned by the same company. They all sell jewelry. If you're ungated in the jewelry category, there can be some deals found there. They're closing 200 stores, but I would imagine that the items that they carry are very small. You know, they're jewelry pieces. So I don't know that K Jewelry and these places are going to liquidate like another store would liquidate that has very large items. Just because items are so small, it's possible that they could box everything and distribute them amongst the other stores pretty easily. Now, Ann Taylor and Company is closing 400 stores. This seems like a high percentage of their stores, so this could be a pretty big closure. And since their stores are large, in my experience, This could be a great opportunity for some sales, to find some items that you're able to flip on Amazon. I like them specifically because they carry a lot of more niche items. It's not items that everyone is going to be carrying. It's going to be lesser known items. It's not like Toys R Us or Walmart where everybody's going to be offering that item for sale on Amazon. A lot of these items are going to be a little more niche, a little harder to find. So it's actually going to be a store where you can find kind of items where you're probably going to have a little bit less competition on those items. Now, Foot Locker is closing 110 stores. This is coming at pressure definitely from online sales. You have Amazon, and they have a really good return policy. So even though you might not see the shoe, you can order 2 or 3 of them. If you're selling in the shoe category, you already know returns are off the charts in shoes because people get them, they try them on, they don't like the look, they return them, and Foot Locker's feeling that effect. Amazon kind of tries to leave the shoe category seamless for returns, and Foot Locker is feeling this, and they're ending up closing 110 stores. Some of those brands are going to be gated, Nike and other brands, so you are going to be conscious that if you go to Foot Locker, a lot of those things are going to be gated. But if you have an older account or your account is ungated in these things, then go for it. Mattress Firm, I'll mention that quickly, but I don't think anybody's selling mattresses on Amazon, but it's possible, so I'm going to throw that one in there. Buy Low, Winn-Dixie, both stores that sell grocery items. I know that there's a lot of grocery people in the group who watch the videos, so go for Below Winn-Dixie. That might be a southern thing. I know we have these in Virginia. I think I've seen them in North Carolina, kind of East Coast, southern as far as I know. I don't know of any areas in the United States that have those, but if you're in those areas and you can find a Below, you can find a Winn-Dixie. They're closing 94 stores, so you might be able to find some really low-cost products. The reason I like Below and Winn-Dixie is because they carry a lot of things that like a Walmart wouldn't carry. It's like they carry a lot of regional items that maybe are made in Virginia, or maybe they're made in South Carolina or North Carolina, that you would not find in just a national store. So that is why I like them for sourcing. A&F and the Walking Company, really not sure what they do. I think the Walking Company, pretty confident they sell shoes. So if you are a shoe seller and you like to sell shoes, check out the Walking Company also. Now, these stories are coming out all the time. This is just a list from March. This is just what has happened in March. So have a look. Just keep an eye on the news. If you see some stores closing, you can even go to Google and type in retail store closing, and you will come out with a list or just the most recent retail stores that have been closing or going into bankruptcy. And then from there, you can actually see which stores in your area might be closing. Often these stores will sell off the things that are in the back. So let's say you need a conveyor belt. Whenever our local Kmart closed, they had a conveyor belt in the back, 30 feet long. Normally these things are $3,000 or $4,000. No, actually 30 feet long. Those things are pretty expensive. Those things can go up to $10,000, and sometimes you can get them for $500. And some of the times you have the extendable and retractable conveyor belts that are unpowered, and sometimes those are thousands of dollars. Sometimes you can get those for a couple $100, because whenever they're used for unloading and loading the trucks in the back, they've been using them for a few years, the resale value goes down. You can sometimes pick those up for steal at whenever a store is going out of business, because the liquidators don't want them often and they're just trying to get rid of them. Rolling carts, if you need to move inventory around, you can pick those up for 10, 15, 20 bucks at a lot of these sales, because once the store liquidates, they're trying to move everything out of the store, including the fixtures. So if you need shelving for your books, if you need shelving for your inventory, then it can be an awesome opportunity to go into one of these liquidating stores and get some things. Toys R Us, if you go into their back, whenever they're unloading trucks, I'm sure that they have some kind of roller system or conveyor belt system. So if you need one, Toys R Us would be a good place to start, in one of their closing stores or Best Buy or one of the larger box stores that would be unloading a lot of boxes. So that's a good tip for anybody who's opening a new warehouse and you're looking at new equipment. You can buy it at pennies on the dollar at one of these closing stores that might have the fixtures, that might have the conveyor belts, that might have the rolling carts that you need for your business. Thank you guys very much. Have a great day and make some money using OAXRAY. Please like and subscribe, and if you have a question about Amazon, put a comment down below and I'll make a video about it as soon as I can.